to do so without the filter of the media or people deciding which clip to watch or not watch or even 30-second ads, but instead I got to describe my vision for America. And I was pleased that I had as positive response as that which came. I was also pleased that I got to ask the president some questions I know people across America have wanted to ask him. And for instance, with 23 million Americans out of work, why it was when he took office, instead of focusing on jobs, he instead focused on Obamacare. I asked him that question. I asked him another question. I asked him why it was, with gasoline prices headed higher and higher, he cut back on the number of permits, and both to drill and onshore and offshore. I got to ask him why it was that with our immigration system as broken as it is, why it was that he didn't do what he said he'd do in his first year, which was in his first year he said he'd put in place immigration reform policies that would deal with this issue, and he didn't do that. That's a question I didn't ask in the last debate, but I hope I get a chance to ask in the next debate. I got to ask him about that $90 billion he gave out to companies in the green energy world. Places like Solyndra and Enter1 and Fisker and Tesla, some of whom were contributors to his campaign, and pointed out that that $90 billion could have hired 2 million school teachers instead. I got to ask, given the fact that in the past he had called the deficits under his predecessor un-American and unpatriotic, why it was that the deficits he put in place were twice as large. I got to ask why, when he promised the people of America that he'd bring down your health insurance premiums by $2,500, he instead saw them go up by $2,500. So I asked him those questions, and you heard his answers, or his non-answers. And I guess the reason he had a hard time answering those particular questions was because, well, of something he said just the other day. He said, you know, you can't fix Washington from the inside. You can only fix it from the outside. We're going to give him that chance on November 6th. And there were places we agreed. He and I agreed that this is a critical election for the country. This is an election which will decide the course of America, not just for 4 years, but for a good deal longer. This is not just a race between two individuals or even two parties. It's a race to define what America is going to be over the coming decades. The president has his vision, the place he'd take it. I have a different vision. Under his vision, you're going to see higher and higher deficits adding up to larger and larger debt. In my view, that will kill the American dream. Instead, my vision is to balance our budget, get us on track to slow down government spending, and make sure our kids are fighting for us this country. Under his vision, he's going to raise taxes. The vice president blurted out the truth the other day. You know, he said they're going to raise taxes $1 trillion. And of course, if you account the Obamacare taxes, it's really $2 trillion they're planning on raising taxes. And then there was a study that was done just this last week in which they calculated how much interest there's going to be on the debt he's putting in place. And they calculate, because of all that interest expense and all the spending he's doing, that he's going to also raise taxes on middle-income families by an average of $4,000 per family. Look, my plan is not to raise taxes on anyone, and I'm going to reduce taxes for middle-income Americans. And he made it very clear, of course, that he's planning on installing Obamacare. And by the way, the Congressional Budget Office has calculated that Obamacare will cost you about $2,500 more than a standard insurance policy. That's the additional cost of Obamacare. By the way, he keeps promising all these wonderful things you get on Obamacare for free. But he doesn't tell you that the policy is going to cost $2,500 a year more. So it's not for free. If I'm president, we're going to repeal Obamacare and replace it with real health care.